Man, there was something that oh man, I'm about to get. I know I'm about to make a lot of people mad out there. I know I'm about to make a lot of people mad out there. Pardon me if I do. Pardon me if I do. All right, because there's there's some stuff that went down over this summer with my man Jay Z that woo man I kept quiet because I really wanted to I really wanted to absorb and give time to see what everybody was really talking about. And I think that we don't really understand sometimes what's really going on. And I think the majority of us, and I'm gonna say black people real quick. I'm gonna say us as black people in this country, that what we're doing is we are constantly doing the same things without any results, and we're not getting mad about not having results. I have not finished watching the Revolt. Puffy, shout out to Puffy, shout out to the whole Bad Boy family and Puffy's company and Revolt TV. You guys did an excellent job. Some of the footage that I'm seeing out there is just wonderful. I love when we're engaged. I love when we're talking stuff at the table for us. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's really, really, really good for it. So shout out to Puff, Revolt, and everybody down in Atlanta that did go and supported Atlanta. And Puff said something, that I really think is important, is that Atlanta's doing it, man. Atlanta's doing it, and they want to replica that in other states, that black people can have success. And I think that it's very good to do that in regards to everything that's there. As far as us achieving things, so shout out to Atlanta and Georgia overall for really making some powerful moves and leaving a good thing. Real quick, I just want to, before I go into the Jay-Z thing, shout out to the Seattle Storm, man. Shout out to my Seattle Storm out here. Yes, I have officially switched from the New York Liberty WNBA team. Shout out to Spoon and other people that's around her that I knew. I really, the Seattle Storm is really, taking me over. But over the summer, my corporation, Family Day Foundation, that we started, now it's about to be a nonprofit, along with Gather Together, Grow Together, G2, we gave out some tickets to my steering committee. So I sit on the Governor's Poverty Steering Committee, and we took the crew out because we've been doing work and our heads been down, and we had a ball with it. So I just wanted to shout out to Seattle Storm for working with us that day. The board got honored, if you didn't see the pictures, and the people that's on the board deserve that honor because we've been putting in work for years. There's a couple of newer people, but the other people on the board, we've been putting in the work for years and doing this work. So I wanted to just bring that up because it was a good marriage of how you can have a corporation come in and then help. Shout out to Marquise from the Seattle Storm that really helped everything when we got things up. So I just want to say that. So back to this Jay-Z thing. So everybody remember in the beginning, Colin Kaepernick taking a kneel for justice. Let me say that he wouldn't stand for the national anthem, right? And the reason why is because this was about justice. This was about things that were affecting black people and people of color in their communities. And with the police brutality, with racism and everything still going on, it was there that things were happening. And I really took to it, man. I was in it heavy, like, wow. Like I stopped, I stopped watching football and loving my Dallas Cowboys as much as I do. And I stopped, I didn't watch football for that year. And it really got to me. I can't front. It got to me, and I was just like, damn, it was crazy. It was crazy for me that I didn't get to watch it. It's something that I've really bought into regardless of anything. And I'm a true believer of this. And maybe if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not in the NFL locker room. I really find it on a sports team that it's very hard to be racist on a sports team. And the reason why is because you're depending on each other. And I say that, maybe not understanding, But I'm just like, if you're a white guard and you play the offensive line, like, you don't just pull up and let somebody hit your running back or your quarterback because they're black. I just don't see that. That's what's me. I don't see it. I see a brotherhood that's there. I see, and I mean this in all sports too, because it's very rare, unless you just live in one of those countries or states that everybody's white and everybody has the same mentality. But in America, that for a sports team to have racist people on is like, if they are, goddamn, they're doing a good job hiding it. So I say that to say, some of the stands that a lot of white players took was a little taken back by a lot of people, but at the same time, they don't know our conditions and seeing it, they saw it, and there was a lot of whites that did stand and say, I respect that, but I don't respect this in the way that it was done. So regardless of it, how you felt about it, Colin Kaepernick brought something to light. He brought something to the head that was really, really, powerful in regards to what was being said. So I sat back. I've known, let me say this, Jay-Z probably doesn't remember me, but I've met Jay a number of occasions. One, there was a producer called Ski that used to live 110th Street. And I remember being up at Ski's apartment. There's a project right there. And I think it's 10th Street and 5th. And Jay coming in and being there. Now, since day one, Jay to me was always the guy that looked to me to be very serious and opportunist, right? And for a long time, I mean, even when I started working with Russell, Brother Gary and everybody, I would see Jay in certain places, but I would watch his moves. And I remember being with Haq Islam up at Def Jam's office or Universal's office, and they had an office right across from each other, Rockefeller and Haq Islam's label that had Maya and Drew Hill. So I would be up there a lot. And I would watch dudes' moves. And I always would question it, man. I always think, damn, this dude always looking out for himself. And I would say that. And I said that for years, right? And when I started seeing, when him and Dame separated from each other, I would always look at Dame as the business person. And I was like, well, how are you going to survive without Dame? And I always used to say to myself that Dame was the business person because he would go in and scream at people. He would do this, he would do that. And in the back line, I would watch Jay do certain things. And I'm sitting up there like, damn, this dude is shady. This dude is like, dude, the shit you doing, like crazy. Like, what are you doing? Now, not knowing, as my business started to grow, how vicious and somewhat cutthroat you got to be. Right? Now, I say that to say it like this. When Microsoft walked away with Steve Jobs' program and changed it and made it theirs, which everybody knows became Windows, that was a power move. You, in business, and I'm learning this the hard way, in business, there is such a ruthlessness to it. That's why I always would say that there was nothing different than a drug dealer and a CEO. Because the way that they move has the same tones to it. I'm not going to say the same mentality or anything, but the same tone. And what is that tone? Don't put me, don't cross me, and I want what I want, period. And I used to look at Jay and get mad at it and be like, that's stupid. And, But when he did the deal with Live Nation, I took a step back. Because I understand Live Nation. If anybody around Live Nation shit, I may get shut down after this. But there used to be a company called FX that used to go around doing billboards and all that stuff. And they had got shut down because they almost became a conglomerate, right? So they were doing billboards at the same time owning radio stations and also owning the artists and managing the artists. So the government came in and broke it all up. And then boom, you have Live Nation and then you have iHeart. All this is the same company. I'm not mad at it or anything like that. Because it does stop a little bit of people. But when Jay got involved with Live Nation, I said, whoa, wait up. How does a man with hip-hop knowledge, no college degree, no nothing, be able to broker a deal? Now, when I saw the deal the first time, I said, all right, maybe dudes looking at it from a music perspective. They're a touring company. They run most of the stadiums or have deals with most of the arenas and stadiums, and he wanted to go there. That's the way I looked at it. But then I took a step back, and I saw when he got his own record label out of them. That was his own record label. And I'm like, so you got Rock Nation now. Okay. But now you see what it is, right? Here in Seattle, when he brought the baseball player here to Robinson Cano, I was like, wow, okay. And, you start seeing the moves that he was making in all sports with Rock Nation Sports. And I said, damn, these are moves that are really warrant to somebody that's dealing with hip hop, but then also taking it to the next level. So I said, okay, he did it. He's good. He's where he's at. Tours go around and everything else. So when Colin Kaepernick's situation happened, right? Everybody was up in arms. Jay made some comments that was there, but it was a interview with Vance. Vance, I can't remember his last name, but he's on CNN, if I'm not mistaken. Vance Jones, with Vance Jones, right? This was an interview that he was doing with Vance Jones. Understand this. I watched what he said about Colin Kaepernick that blew me away. And it goes to this point, I'm getting ready to get into it. Y'all gonna knock me. Some people may be upset at me about what I'm gonna say. But it gets into this conversation. And Eric Reed, this talks to this point with Eric Reed. So here it is. You have this issue going on with the NFL. No NFL team hires you. You sue the NFL. So what that means is that there is no way in the world that the NFL is going to mess with you. So you don't sit at the table. There's a thing. Stop going where you're not wanted, right? So when Jay-Z said to Vance Jones, he said, the question was asked, do you think that he should go back to playing football? And Jay-Z said, why? He's more iconic now as a revolution, as somebody in history now, than if he went back and played football and just be known as a player. If he stays out of the game, he's in history. He's on a couple times. He's in history. You understand what I'm saying? He is bigger than a football player. Understand that. Understand that. So when Jay said that, I was like, damn, that is so deep. That's so deep. So, but he says that. Then a conversation happens. I guess some time before. You know what's crazy? I was doing this podcast. I was going to talk about this today. But then this came out today that Jerry Jones said that, oh, yes, he had a conversation with Jay-Z and probably violated something over Dez Bryant, right? So I looked at this statement that was made last year by Jerry Jones, who is one of the most powerful owners in the NFL. I'm talking my hands down, the billions, bought the team for less than 100 billions now. Dallas is worth. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, Jerry Jones just said this is one of the smartest men that I've ever had a conversation with. That was last year, doing all this Colin Kaepernick stuff. So I'm sitting there and I said to myself, yo, hold on. Jerry Jones said that. What is Jay up to? Now, all of you that don't know, Jay was the one that moved the New York Nets or the New Jersey Nets to Brooklyn. Jay was very heavily involved in the formation of the Barclays Center. Jay was heavily involved in working with the gentleman that bought the land from MTA and built the Barclays Center, which that land that the Barclays Center is at was supposed to be the original Dodger Stadium. The Brooklyn Dodgers was supposed to originally be there. Now, he did this with the behest of everybody hating Jay. Everybody hating him at the time. They said, oh, he's a sellout. He sold out Brooklyn. He sold out this. He sold out that. Right now, Brooklyn is the mecca of boxing. Then damn near took it away from Madison Square Garden. the mecca of boxing. Almost every major concert now is held there if you are young. Top acts, that's the place that they go to, the Barclays Center. It changed the demographics of everything. It changed the culture of Brooklyn. But then he cashed out and was gone. Put things in place that made everything change. Now, let me say this. If Magic Johnson, good friend, I've met Magic Johnson on a number of occasions, and I remember at BB King's, I was with some people. I was with .com and a couple other people, and Magic Johnson's like, Brother Drake, what's good? And they just lost their minds. But met Magic when 125th Street was being done. I was with some corporate people that knew him, and we kind of kicked it real quick, and he was so interested in like me being from Brooklyn, Brownsville, and he's like heard so much about Brownsville being a violent place, and then just a conversation. So the conversation, I guess, made a lasting impression on him, that when I had saw him some years later, he had remembered me, and it was an interesting factor. But Magic Johnson was accused of doing the same thing in Harlem when he put a mall and a movie theater there, right? People hated him, said he changed the landscape of Harlem and all of that. Then he goes downtown, and there's a building that had a clock on it downtown Brooklyn, right there, DeKalb, I think it is. He bought that building with him and his people. They bought that building. I'll never forget when they bought that building. Magic Johnson. I was at the conference that they had at this because the black bank was at the bottom. I can't remember what the bank was, but a couple of those people from the bank that were black owners were up there with him and everything like that. And he said this building, it cost him way over what he paid. And Magic Johnson said, you have to think for the future. He said, I'm not looking at it now. I'm looking at it for the future. And they fixed the place up and everything, right? 8.7 million for an apartment in there now, right? And that's for a one bedroom for the last time I checked. So he held on to that for almost 15, 20 years. 15 to 20 years he held on to that, right? Not knowing if Jay-Z was going to do the Barclays Center, not knowing that the everything would change downtown Brooklyn. Let me say it this way. I don't know if he still has. I don't know anything about it, but I know at that time he did, right? So I bring that up to say this. Jay was plotting this NFL thing for a long time. A long time. When he did the New Jersey Nets, he was dealing with football stuff, right? So here it is. Kaepernick kneels. Jay is a very outspoken person about it. This is the difference. And I'm saying this to I don't know Eric Reed. I don't know him. Some of my people on the street say he's a real dude. Because I don't want no issues with people saying, oh, you talking about me and all that stuff. We grown, man. Colin Kaepernick, don't know him. Don't know his wife. Don't know the people around him. Jay-Z, know him, but not in the way that, it's a great conversation type of thing. But I'll say this. And you ready? Everybody has their position. Everybody has their position in life and who they are and what they're supposed to do. When Jay started asking older artists to come back and he was hooking them up with deals, that was power move. That's a power move. I'm listening to the Champions here on the commercial the other day. I don't think that would have happened without them being part of rock. I'm looking at Fat Joe be everywhere now. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that would have happened without Rock Nation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching all of these moves. Now, mind you, you know who does these moves, but does it very quietly behind the scenes, do moves like this, invest in major companies, make big money. Nas. Nas is a major player in a lot of things, especially movies, especially movie deals. Been doing it for years behind the scenes, right? So the thing that people don't get and people don't see is there are moves that are being made that is out of your scope and out of your lane. I say that to say this. I am more upset at Eric Reed going back, and I don't want to say it like this, but I got to say it like this so you understand it. And I know hopefully this will get played again and people will get it. I am more upset at Eric Reed going back to the plantation than I am about Jay-Z taking over or sitting in the house that the master owns and says, we got to talk. That's real. That's 100% real. I'm being honest with you. You can't tell me, and I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick, you can't tell me that none of you who were the most powerful figures in this movement, I don't know behind, and let me know if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I get it. But the way that everybody's reacting, the way that Colin Kaepernick is acting, the way that Reed is acting shows me that no, it was not done this way. I am more mad that you guys that were in this position, that it affected the most, did not sit down and negotiate ownership with the NFL. That's just how I feel about it. Straight up, it's the way I feel about it. I want you guys, the people that's listening to me, to understand. You're talking about something that happened to us as a people, that one of the biggest organizations in the country, in the world, forget that, in the world, the NFL, in the world, did not and could not understand. Let me say it again. You're talking about something that happened to a set of people, black people getting killed, black people having racism, police shootings. One of the biggest, if not the biggest organization in the world, the NFL, could not comprehend it and understand it. And you want to know why they couldn't comprehend it and understand it? Because there is no majority black owners sitting at the table to say, what the hell are you talking about? Or let me make you understand it. I say that because at a lot of positions I'm in Washington State, I'm usually the only black person sitting in the room. Straight up. I'm usually the only black person sitting in the room. And I'll hear something be said stupidly or just unconsciously. And then I always have that. That's my duty to check it. So while everybody's mad about it, and I'm happy that, shout out to Social Def and shout out to Jermaine Dupri for making the record clear that, there was nothing offered to him in that form where he had the chance to own the team or something like that. It had to do with, and I remembered it, I was hoping that he'll come out and say it, it had to do with, how people felt about him. In that, and then being in Atlanta, him not really stepping up to the plate to really make, I'm happy you said, my dog, I'm happy that you said that. You know what I'm saying? Not stepping up to the plate and really going against the NFL on it. But when Jay-Z said, this was not about a job, this was not about kneeling, we passed that. And I'm not trying to, he's a grown man. I don't have to correct anything for him. It goes back to Martin Luther King. And what you guys don't understand, that when Martin got shot, he wasn't talking about racial issues anymore. He was talking about world problems, and he wanted a bigger seat at the table to change economics in America. They didn't care about him talking about black and white issues. But once you start talking about change and how we going to change it, Negro, shut your mouth. Saying, that's why I said, Eric Reed, I could not understand why he's sitting at wanting to go back to the plantation instead of him and Colin Kaepernick sitting at the NFL's table and saying, you know what? You don't want me to sue you? Then we want a stake at the table. Or even create your own Department of Equity and say we need to sit at the head of it, but you're going to fund it. See, and that's the thing that I think we don't understand. We get these little crumbs. I saw what the NFL did when they took everybody around and went to communities and had these discussions and all of that. That's not the issue. Because you can do that. People have been doing that in the community. There's nonprofit organizations that dedicate their life every day to it. Ask Colin Kaepernick. He gave away money to those organizations. The thing is that when you're not going to change the mentality of somebody unless somebody's sitting in that room bold enough, strong enough to sit there and say, you don't understand this, but this is what it really is. And that's what Jay's position and job is. I'm telling you this. Listen to what I'm about to say. Write it down. What I'm about to tell you. Write this down. There is a difference. This is Drayton Jackson. There is a difference between boss moves and power moves. There's a difference between boss moves and power moves. Boss moves individuals. Boss move, I studied this. I've come to that conclusion. Boss moves individuals. Power moves cultures and systems. Straight up. Power moves cultures and systems. So now when you talk about the move that Colin Kaepernick made, Reed made, and others that protested, those were boss moves. No question. Because as an individual, you're going to take a hit. As an individual, you're going to be like, man, you know, you may get blackballed. You may get, you know, put to the side. You may get, but power moves? Power moves everything. It changes the shift of the structure of what it's going into. And how you know that is because look at where Microsoft is now and look how long it took Apple to get there. Everybody said, oh, he stole it. Did he? No. Because Steve Jobs was worrying about boss moves when all that came out of Microsoft, all that came out of the thinking of Microsoft was boss moves. Was a power moves, period. Taking over the world, becoming the best system that everybody had to use. When Bill Gates did it, everything out of his head was moving and changing how the IT world was and how computers were. Those were power moves. So when Jay is saying that I'm going at the table and I'm going to sit at the table and I'm this, we passed on. Yes, because that's what it is. That's what it boils down to. How many marches? And I said this the other day and caught some flack from it for some black people, right? And because, you know, when we're in our moments and we're conversating, we get emotional about it. How many killings and marches are we going to have? And how many people are going to sit there and keep getting killed and we keep doing the same thing? Police shooting happens. We get mad, we go, we march, we argue, we get it done, and then that's it. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. But let's go back to Martin Luther King. There was a time that Martin said it's the fighting for justice. If you go to the King Center, it says it. That was just the first step. Now we have to fight for economic equality. Right? It's the three pillars that he had, right? It shifted because it went from dealing racial to economical. Because why? He realized that you got to move this country by economics. Period. Money moves everything. So now Jay is the only one in our position that we have amongst us in our generation that can sit at that table or has stepped up to sit at that table and take them on. You think that he put Rock Nation together for that time to just have an agency? No, because your man that was working with Will Smith, I can't remember his name right now, that was married to Tisha Arnold. They had an agency for years and he was representing acts. Other people have had agencies and been representing them for years. The problem was this. None of them was thinking forward to the future. And what was the future? If I start an agency, it gives me the access to the owners. It gives me the access to the NBA, to the NFL, to the league's heads. And now I can go ahead and start having those conversations. And whether you think the move was wrong or not, whether you think that, oh, he should have did that or not, whether you think that, Cap should have been at the table or not, the thing was that it was a power move. Because to sit there now in one of the biggest organizations that really don't accept black people as owners at all is a power move, because it's going to shift the dynamics. Because now, what did he do? Now, this is where some of you are missing it at. I can understand if the man came in there and he just said, I just want to be an owner and I'm going to take the team myself, and then doesn't say anything. There was conversations that was made. So now here it is. What is he over? He's over live music entertainment strategies. That's what he created, a position and a job for himself. He created an end that now somebody else is going to become there. But not only that, we're sitting at the table. We at the table, so now they can't say stupid stuff. Now you can't say, oh, well, we're not going to do this. So when they want to put in a law or they want to put in something that makes you more of a slave than you already are, that's the way you got to look at it. Because at the end of the day, what is going to be said and what is going to be heard, that they don't understand. I'm telling you any of these guys that have issues with it. Colin Kaepernick, his wife, and Eric Reed and his people, if everybody has any issues with it, I will tell you this. How come none of y'all stepped up to take a seat in ownership? If you did, I apologize and say I'm wrong. I didn't know. I'm not in it like that. Right? Jay stepped up. Not only does he have the means and the money, not only does he have the respect and the clout, not only does he have the power to do so, the key is that he did it. Where I couldn't figure out from before why, and like I said, let's go back to what Jay-Z said. He doesn't think Colin Kaepernick should go back to the NFL because he's an icon already in his moves that he made. Don't tell me about what you love, man. Because I'm going to say it this way. If we all did what we wanted to do in our life and didn't follow what God wanted us to do, there wouldn't be half of the people that you see that are revolutionary heroes today. Period. There wouldn't be people that have changed the world today if we did what we wanted to do. Colin Kaepernick, you started it. You did. You brought it to the you was the brave one. You was the brave one. You was our guys that held the fist up at the Olympics. You was the brave one. You did your job. Eric Reed, you did your job. But now let somebody else take it to the reins that now in a field of politics and BS and cutthroat stuff, there's people that can deal with that. There's people that can deal with it straight up. So when we talk about what we're supposed to be done in our position, that ain't your position. Real talk. It's not your, because it would have been done already. That would have been the first discussion when you sat down with the NFL to try to get your job back. Was like, you know what? F this. I don't want the job back. This is what I want. I want this. And if you don't give me this, then this is going to open up a door for me to sue you more on why I can't have a seat at the table. Or go back and then put together the finance group to go ahead and buy the team that you want to buy. That's all it's about. So I'm not taking away anything of how anybody feels about it. That's not what I'm talking about. This ain't about feelings. This is about business. Power moves systems, moves culture. It moves how things were. Boss moves moved individuals. And the move that Jay did was a boss move. In an industry and in a culture that is so cutthroat that he can stand there and deal with it. So you may say what you want. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to that we got a seat at the table. And our voices will be heard. And we'll make that change straight up. So it's your man Dre Jackson, Conversations with Dre. Oh, man. I like I said, I had to go in a little bit on this, you know.